We're checking. We are live. Welcome back to Real Cast Fishing. Your host, Glenn, with the City of Island Fishing Field Team. And this round, what we got for you, we're talking the Little Red Book of Fly Fishing. Specifically, tips 91 through 95. And what I've got going for this round is we'll go through the Little Red Book of Fly Fishing. Those 5 tips, read them, talk about them, and then we'll shift over to some fishing updates from yours truly, fishing, or at least kayak fishing, this recent trip to Lake Lavon, where yours truly was able to catch some catfish for dinner. So with that said, let's go right into the Little Red Book of Fly Fishing. Okay, we'll start out with tip 91. August on the Henry Fork, the Graduate School of Fly Fishing can be cruel. Hatches are sparse, and on hot days, your best chances for trout in the vaunted Railroad Ranch section often revolve around throwing hoppers and other terrestrial patterns. Indian jewelry, as author angler Renee Harrop described them one evening over beers at the A-Bar in the Last Chance, Idaho. Nevertheless, I found myself pressing forward one morning with a guide, Bob Lamb. We spotted a riser on the banks, and I let the cast fly. It was a good shot, well in front of the fish with no drag on the fly. We saw the fish poke his nose toward the bug, then plunge back into the depths behind the rock. I loaded up to fire another cast. Hold on, wait, Bob said, literally grabbing the rod during my back cast. He didn't like that fly. Let's see, he didn't like that fly. The first time on a good cast, what makes you think he's going to change his mind? So he paused, and Bob reached into his fly box for a slightly different hopper pattern. He tied it on, and as he did so, the fish rose again. Now try him, Bob said. Same cast, same drift, and this time the fish chewed it up. We hooked and landed him. It's a natural reaction to want to try again after you've just missed a big fish, but the point is that you need to make a slight adjustment, especially if you did everything right the first time. In those cases, change the offering. Tom Whitley, a great guide in the Denver area, says he changes his fly pattern down a size after an obvious refusal. Don't show them the same thing the same way. Adjust, trick the trout, and that's what this game is all about, isn't it? Signed, KD. Okay, cool beans. All right, let's go on to tip 92, one at a time. Here's a common scenario that leaves most anglers scratching their heads in frustration. At one point or another, you're in a classic dry fly run, and it seems as if 100 trout are gulping away at insects on the surface. You make a cast in one direction, but wait, there's another one. Lift, swish, land the fly, he's gone. But there's one. Cast again, and you're doing it all wrong. Add or shoot your cast in a pod of rising fish, and you are effectively being everywhere and nowhere. Pick one target and stay on it, preferably moving from the back of the school forward. If you're good, you can pick them off one at a time. The trout won't notice anything that's happening behind them, but they will notice everything happening in front of them. Lock into the target, be patient, time your cast, and go. As Terry Gunn once told me, casting at a pod of rising fish is like shooting into a flock of quail with a shotgun. You'll inevitably miss them all. Pick one, measure your shot, and squeeze the trigger. You might get lucky when you flock shoot, but for the most part, you're only busting sky. In case of trout fishing, if you get wild with your cast and don't focus on one fish, you'll add to your frustration by losing the whole opportunity. Everywhere gets you nowhere. Signed, KD. All right, another good one from the Little Red Book of Fly Fishing. Okay. Let's go on to the next item. Let's see. Tip number 93. Stack mending for drifts. As long as your flies are floating naturally and the drift is good, there's no rule against making multiple mends to cover lots of water. In fact, in big rivers like the Colorado, at least for in Arizona, and up on Oregon's Deschutes, Stacked mending for long drifts is a smart way to fish. Make your cast, let your flies settle, then make your mend. As the flies float downstream, make another mend, feeding more line as you go. Then another, and another. Meet out line gently by wiggling the rod tip to feed the line through the guides, and at the same time, don't get caught with so much slack that you cannot set the hook with your indicator stalls 50 or 60 feet away from you. It can be tricky. The key is making many small, gentle mends as you feed your line through the run. All right. Well, that was tip 93. Let's take a look at tip 94. Don't be married to the notion that you have to fish every fly exactly the same way it's designed. For example, one of the best nymph fishing afternoons I ever enjoyed with Tony Fotopoulos on the Colorado River, our magic bug, a Dave's hopper. That pattern is meant to be fish dry, but what did work was letting the bug get waterlogged, then fishing it like a nymph through the deep holes. That might not be a classic presentation, but ask yourself, do grasshoppers drown in heavy currents? Then ask if you were a big old drowned trout and you saw that same juicy meal floating by, would you take the bite? You know, and that kind of brings me up to the point of when I fish some foam grasshoppers, similar to the Dave's hopper. Well, they seem to get some pretty good strikes once they start getting waterlogged and they start sinking a little bit under the surface. So, hey, that's another good one from the Little Red Book of Fly Fishing. All right, let's go to the last one. We went through tips 91 through 95. This is number 95. And it's a short one, but hey, let's see what it says. Shake, shake, shake your streamer. If lethargic trout seem unwilling to take their final plunge for your streamer, try this wake-up call. When your fly enters a likely zone, give the rod tip a vigorous up and down shake. The pulsing action this delivers to the fly will often make a trout respond. Very interesting. Very interesting. All right, I've done that before, where I cast. In this case, I do the shake, 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 or sometimes I call it the twitchy, twitchy, twitch. I do recall fishing, Highway 16 Bridge, Possum Kingdom Lake, the tail race there. Trout were stocked, and I was using a classic 45-degree up river, letting it float downstream and kind of swinging the current. And right at that tail end, I would start giving that little twitchy twitch to the rod tip, and that would elicit the strike. It seemed like nothing else was working until I started doing that little twitchy twitch. So, hey, keep that in the back pocket. Shake, shake, shake is what they're saying in the Little Red Book of Fly Fishing. Well, I could call it the twitchy twitch or the shake, shake. Hey, it works. All right. I'm not sure if the stream is healthy. I'm getting some indications if that it may be lagging a little bit. So I'll kind of slow things up here a little quick. And let's go and shift. Let's shift from the Little Red Book of Fly Fishing to some updates from yours truly fishing the local lake. So I've got a video here where yours truly had a little fun at the local lake, Lake Lavon, here in the area. And what I just wanted to just step through is some key things to call out. So first thing, the shad are in the shallows. You can get easily with a cast net a fair amount of shad in several casts. I'm just using a little short 4 or 3 foot diameter cast net to catch what I need. I ended up having to go back a couple of times to get more bait, but hey, it worked out well putting them in the little trolling bait bucket. And in short or real short cast from the boat ramp, come around the point, and I started working the area with these self-setting jug lines. Key takeaway this round is the lake is up. I'd say it's up about 3-4 feet than normal. Areas that I normally see lower portions of the treetops, while they're up higher in the treetops. And some of the submerged old timber is underwater now. And in this case, all I'm doing is just coming around the point, going to go set up some jug lines. These self-setting jug lines have been a pretty good one that I started using last season. And the main reason why I like these is I can pre-bait them, get them out into the water, and get them quickly deployed. And sure enough, I'm able to spend more time fishing versus sitting there waiting, prepping, or getting my lines set. And in this case, I can deploy them fairly quickly. So let me go ahead and speed up the video and just kind of take you to some of the action. Okay, so I've set up several jug lines. I took out 12 and I set up in sections of 3, a set closer to the shallows, and another set that was, let's say, I'd say about midway from where the tree or the submerged timber was to that first set of jug lines. And I did have several misses. It was a classic case where you're bringing up the jug line or the line, fish is on there, and as you're bringing up, if you hesitate instead of keeping that steady tension, they will come off. I had that I'd say happen about 4 or 5 times where I had a solid hit, but unfortunately they got off. So kind of keep in your back pocket that to always keep a steady tension on the line, much like you're doing when you're fishing normal rod and reel. You don't want to put any slack in the line. We'll do the same thing when it comes to jug lines as well. Yeah, in this case, I'm setting out, I think this is the second set of jug lines, and I can get them out there fairly quickly. I'm just using those shad, fresh shad caught over there at the boat ramp. It's always nice this time of year being able to not have to stop at a bait shop and whatnot. Instead, you got ready bait at the boat ramp. So let's see. So I've got several patterns already set, and now I'm just kind of letting them soak and kind of playing it by ear. I've got another set that I'm going to take out further, going closer to the timber, the submerged section. And I mainly was aiming for getting enough to do a little fish fry because, well, hey, it's that time of year. First trip of the year to the local lake. Had a slight delay making it back out to kayak fishing over there at Lavon. So I finally made it. Kind of later in the year, but hey, it still counts. This was a good one. A lot of I'd say severe weather in these past few weeks, and so it's been pretty tough getting out there, but luckily wind stayed minimal. I'd say 5 knots or less, so it was very calm, and it was fairly straightforward to get these jugs deployed. And like I was saying, I did have several misses, but I did have enough consistent hits where I was able to load up on a catfish dinner for that evening. There was a couple that got away from me, especially when I went back to the boat ramp to go get some more bait. When I came back around, I would say it was about maybe 100, 200 feet away from where I initially deployed it. So that was pretty good. I ended up having to go and chase that one down. These are more eater sizes, but there were several bigger ones. I think the biggest one this round was about 20 inches. Other than that, it was a good day. It's fairly not a hot one, overcast. Ended up getting some rain, in fact, but was pretty good. All right, and for those of you who are just joining, just going over the yesterday, or actually no, it was Saturday's trip to the local lake, doing some kayak fishing, jug lining with some self-setting jug lines. We did talk earlier of the Little Red Book of Fly Fishing, tips 91 through 95. If you get a chance, you can check out the beginning of the podcast and get a rundown on some of those tips. All right. So if you do have any questions, I'll stand by here as I let the video run. And additionally, there's another one that I just posted today that just talks of kayak fishing and some simple setups. A lot of folks will put a lot of gadgetry on their kayaks, and I tend to go minimal. What I found out is you'll tend to fish or kayak fish more if you get a kayak that's easy to load and straightforward to take out, and you'll tend to use it more. Let's see, Ramon Zuniga. Hello, Ramon, or Roman. How's it going? Just talking some fishing stuff here. Do you have any questions? Just shout out. I'm monitoring the chat and just discussing some of the things from last trip over here, or first trip this year to our local lake, doing some kayak fishing. All right. Okay. Other key takeaways when it came to setting these jug lines, they are the self-setting ones, and when they release, they do like an anchor buoy or like marker buoy. When you're marking stuff, they'll just deploy, and I've got a little harness or wire gadgetry that kind of hooks onto it, and it works pretty well at being able to release things. Should I buy a Shimano DC baitcaster or a penned reel? Depends. What are you planning on doing fishing wise? I've got a Shimano Scorpion BFS bait finesse style reel, and I've got several other Shimano bait casting reels, and then I've got several pen reels, both the saltwater variety as well as some spinning gear. So I guess my question is what kind of fishing are you trying for? I'm going for trophy bass at lake in Dallas. Okay. What kind of pen reel are you thinking of? A spinning reel, or are you talking bait casting? And I guess what kind of lures are you thinking of? If it's normal, like I guess bass fishing, I would go with the bait caster. Let's see, spinning. Well, you got a little bit more flexibility when it comes to spinning. You can go with some lighter weight lures and whatnot. But I'm not too clear. I use them both, so I think it's really your line as well as the presentation that you're using versus the actual reel itself. In this case, crankbait and a whopper popper and maybe a jerk bait. Ooh, I like bait casters when it comes to that type of fishing, so I'd be leaning over to a bait caster versus a spinning reel. Why? In the case of the bait casting, I have a lot more control. Once I get my thumb educated to the particular reel that I'm using, I can get some pretty good accuracy with that. And then additionally, I tend to like the drag on a bait caster compared to a spinning reel, even though there are some really good spinning reels out there with some really good drag. I kind of lean toward the bait casting piece. All right. So hopefully that was helpful. Let's see. And okay, here in the up there in Oklahoma, and that was on a whim. It looks like I lost connection briefly, so I don't know if I still have you. So bear with me. It looks like you're still there. Okay, it says it reconnected. All right, yeah, I'm getting some spotty coverage right now. Internet's been acting a little weird here, but hopefully we're still connected. Okay. All right, and again, here I am just fishing away, working the local lake, and it seems like things are going pretty good so far. Jug lining wise, I've been pretty happy there. I do plan on hitting the lake again here in the next few days, if not next week or so. I think this next round I'll be doing more kayak trolling, where I'll take a slab and jig rig and basically either bottom bounce a particular portion of the lake or just start trolling the shoreline and seeing what strikes. I may even, there's one portion of Lake Lavon over there by the wastewater treatment plant where you could consistently get some white bass, and it's pretty fun when you take out your fly rod there. I think I got a couple of videos of several trips where I've gone out there doing some fly fishing for the white bass, and that's been pretty good. All right. And in the case of fly fishing, I like using Clouser minnows as well as I call it the Denison Dam Dauber. It's a fly that I've used up over there at the tail race to Texoma, Red River, border Texas and Oklahoma. I've used that one to catch a few striped bass as well as white bass and whatnot up there at the tail race. And it's a very simple fly, kind of like a clouser, but not. Main thing is it's got a chenille that goes around a dumbbell eyes and seems to well, it gives it a little more flashiness that I believe mimics some of the bait fish that are lurking in the area. All right, so and then again, I just want to go and mention that we did talk earlier about the Little Red Book of Fly Fishing, some specifics there. In fact, let me go back to it real quick and just point out those key topics. Okay, so we went from 91 to 95 in the Little Red Book of Fly Fishing, just to recap some of the things that were discussed. Tip 91, switch bugs on obvious refusal. The key takeaway there is if you get a strike and you miss them on a particular trout and whatnot, switch the bugs or switch the fly and see if you'll get a follow-up strike, because a lot of times they'll ignore that first fly after that first strike. Okay, the next one was one at a time. Here's a case where you are seeing a lot of trout and you're kind of flock shooting, like when you're out shooting quail and whatnot, or duck hunting. Well, same thing with trout. You need to target one, preferably from the back to forward, so you don't spook the school. 93, stacked mending for drifts. In this case, it's just talking about doing multiple mends instead of trying to do this massive cast and mend to get your fly. So do several instead of one big one. 94, fish flies atypically. In this one, they specifically call out the Dave's hopper, where you fish it on the surface, but they let it get waterlogged and got more hits. So similar to when yours truly is fishing a foam grasshopper, I tend to get some pretty good hits after it's become waterlogged and it's sinking about 2 to 4 inches under the surface, even though it's a surface fly. And then finally, the shake, shake, shake your streamer. This is an example of try giving a shake to the fishing fly, streamer in this case, and see if it'll elicit a strike for some of those finicky trout. And all I did was just call out a particular trip where I went to the tail race to Possum Kingdom, fishing over there by the Highway 16 bridge for some trout. There was this little twitchy retrieve right at the tail end of a swing of the fly or cast, and I started giving a little twitch movement, and that was the piece that was getting the trout to strike. So, hey, mix it up. Little Red Book of Fly Fishing, very good information there. I always tend to go back to it and check things out. And then with that, we just kind of rolled right back into the video review where yours truly was hitting the local lake doing some kayak fishing, specifically some jug lining. But that said, I do have some upcoming trips this year to go hit the local lake as well as some other local lakes and see if I can hit something up there. For the fly fishing fanatic, you do have the good opportunity to do some kayak fly fishing, several opportunities in our area that may offer a good strike or two with those white bass that'll be out there hitting the shallows and points and whatnot. So, okay, hopefully this was helpful. If you have any questions concerning anything in fishing in general, if I have an answer, I hopefully can give it to you. If not, maybe I can reach out to some other folks who have that expertise, because yours truly is not an expert, just an avid fisherman, average Joe. And like our motto says from our channel, the average Joes, and bottom line, learn to fish by our trials and errors. And we've definitely had a lot of trials, had a lot of errors, but oh, by the way, we've had a lot of fish on the line too. Okay, so that said, all for now. Do check back, do reach out, and yours truly's been monitoring comments, posts, questions, whatnot. I do monitor everything that comes in. All right, appreciate y'all joining. all for now. Next time, we'll catch y'all later, and good luck and good fishing.